I'm back on the writing train. I had a little setback, but that's what happens, especially for a first book. It gets rough sometimes, but it is what it is. I'm happy, and I love making these videos. Didn't make any last week. I'm so glad to get back to it. Glad to get back to everything. I'm still in the middle of my move somehow, so that slows me down. Literally, I was at the other house today, just moving stuff and cleaning stuff up and blah, blah, blah. I like making time to make these videos and write and do all my concept work and side notes for all my writing. It's so fun. Hola, humans. Tredel the Comic God here, and I'm here to talk about writing chapter 3 of The Black Forest. Mage of the Black Forest. Apparently. Give me 2 seconds, I'll forget what my title is. So, I was writing chapter 3. I know it's not a big difference from last video, but it is. I was writing chapter 3, and I kept on stopping, and I tried to power through it. I'm like, online they say just power through it. It doesn't matter, get that first draft done, it's okay, power through it. But I kept on feeling like something was wrong. So, I remembered that there was a few key points where I stopped in the second chapter, and then I went to the outline and was like, what's the problem here? And I realized there's one character in particular that's hard to write, and there's another character that does nothing the whole time. There's no point in them being there. And those are the main characters. 2 out of the 3 of the main characters. So that's a huge problem. When they say cut the fat in a story, in a book, it was just all fat when it came there. It was really to get the main character, the actual main character, from point A to B. So that can't be it. That can't be good. That's not good at all. So I went back and I was like, okay, what's wrong with this character? The character that did absolutely nothing was like a 3-year-old. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Let's age them up. And then the other one, I didn't write a personality brief at all for them. The other one, the main character, Bellamy, the Mage of the Black Forest, he has a character profile. I know what he would do in almost any situation. But the little girl didn't at all. So what I did, I went back, I made new character briefs, I gave them an actual problem that they can solve, because their problem was the fact that they were lost. And Bellamy was supposed to get them to the place where they need to go. And it was very surface. It was super surface and no depth whatsoever. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to add depth. I'm going to make them have a problem. There's a reason they're royals and they were away. Before there wasn't a reason, they just were. So I made up a new reason. I made an interesting problem within the power system that they can handle. And if anyone has seen Jujutsu Kaisen, it's the same problem Maki and Mai, I believe her sister's name is, had, right? Their powers were kind of split between them, so they just both weren't strong. It's the same situation here. I realized that after I started writing it, and I was like, oh, wait, hold on. But that doesn't mean it's bad. That just means it's interesting. And the power system's different, so it's different. Yeah, basically, I gave them a problem. I gave them personalities. They're insecure, and they deal with that in a different way. I made them twins, so they're able to split the power, and their family thinks they're weak, and that's why they're a little insecure. And now I think that's way better writing, right? Now I have actual characters that have either a want or a problem that they can solve, and I know how they would act in any situation. And I think that's good, because if I get bored and I'm writing and I want to do a fun situation, it's better to know how they'll act than just try to, what would some random kid do in this situation? It wasn't great. So I'm so happy that I went back and did that. I have all my stuff in this book. I started it as a regular sketchbook, and then I started just putting notes for my book in here. And honestly, it works so good. I thought there were 2 pens in there. That's weird. But I got my Black Kingdom character change, and I have a whole paragraph on how they changed and what their problem is. I even put in their likes and dislikes, right? Because before, again, I didn't know that. So if I know one likes animals, maybe he's gonna wander off because he's seen a deer, and that could cause a problem, right? Because I have a whole outline, but I like kind of building and making things up as I go. Sometimes, right? It's gonna follow the outline. They're gonna go through, and the main events are quote unquote like canon events. They gotta happen, but that doesn't mean there can't be any like fun stuff in between. So yeah, that's how I like to write. That's usually how I wrote when I'm writing short stories. That's like 100% how I wrote. But I'd have like, okay, this is the character, and then I'd go off. But for a novel, apparently you need some structure. So I was doing that. But that just goes to show that you'll see, right? Some people just, like, I hear writers go through iteration after iteration, and when I write my scripts, or when I write my like my comic book scripts, or when I write my short stories, I never understood that. I'm like, okay, yeah, you go back and you fix up like little details, like, oops, I was using present tense and then I used past tense here, but I didn't get just going back and changing stuff. But this makes a lot more sense, especially when it's a bigger story, because I can carry one prime character with two nothing characters in a short story that's a few pages. That's going to be nothing. It'll be good. But when you're doing it for a whole novel, you're gonna have to get to know the person, right? And everyone's gonna have a different favorite person. So each character has to be a whole character. So it's just things that you learn. When I say it out loud, it sounds pretty simple, but again, it's it's all a part of the process, right? So I'm having a good time. I was hyped when I finally figured it out, because I was writing and I just was really trying to get anything out, and then the sense that something was wrong was huge. So now I think I'll have an easier time writing. I will have to go back to chapter 2 and fix some stuff, but at least I'm not halfway through the book. At least I figured this out pretty early. So I'm going to have to go back to chapter 2, fix some things, maybe rewrite it. I'm going to read it and see what I got to do. And then I have to go back to what I wrote in chapter 3, which I wrote like half, if not maybe a little more of it. And I'm going to have to fix that up, or totally rewrite it, most likely. Well, probably not totally rewrite it, just fix that up. And then make sure everyone's characters are being shown more or less so far. But also, for the lore videos I plan to do, I am getting a better view on what everything is in this universe, especially the magic, which, like, I know, but not fully. So I think that's useful for me to do, because when it's just swimming up there in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's kind of going to work like this. But if I got to tell you guys, then I 100% know what it is, because it's got to make sense. So and my favorite thing is to do power systems. I've gone on and on about that in my videos, but power systems are so fun, and making them, especially this one, where it's not a hard magic system and it's not a soft magic system, it lies somewhere in between, so there's wiggle room, but like, there are some things that just are, but you gotta have room for the weird, right? Something like Avatar: The Last Airbender, no room for the weird, that's fine, but somewhere in the middle, I think is fun. Not always. An Airbender is fun, but also a Lord of the Rings is fun, where you don't really know what the heck magic is going on. That sweet spot in between, where you're like, I could go do something fun and funky over here. That's always great. But I will get a magic video to you guys later on this week, hopefully. And I'll just basically explain the power system to these books, and I'm happy to get into it, because that's my favorite thing. And might as well say this here, I want to start doing some live streams. I think live streams would be fun, where I figure out almost like concept art live streams, but or more like mood board live streams, where I figure out what this culture and country is, and then I bring in, like, okay, this is how their magic works here, more or less, and then later on I'll probably make a video and then present the whole thing. But just like, if anyone's interested in coming along on the journey for my research to figure out how I actually set up culture and a history and all that stuff to a place, I think it'd be fun. And if you look at, I thought I had the map around here. If you look at the map of the place, it varies a lot, because it's the whole continent, from icy tundra to humid jungle, so, and everything in between. So there's a lot of ground to cover and potential culture to create. So I think that's going to be super fun. So update videos, lore videos on magic and magic users and people, places, things, beasts. Ooh, what? And then lives, where we discover that live and just make up some fun stuff. And maybe I can get some suggestions from you guys. Oh, it would be cool. Have you heard of this culture? Because I don't know everything. So, yeah. Let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing stuff like that. I'm back on the writing train. I had a little setback, but that's what happens, especially for a first book. It gets rough sometimes, but it is what it is. So I'm happy, and I love making these videos. So I didn't make any last week. I'm so glad to get back to it. I'm glad to get back to everything. I'm still in the middle of my move somehow. So that slows me down. Literally, I was at the other house today, just moving stuff and cleaning stuff up and blah, blah, blah. But I like making time to make these videos and write and do all my concept work and side notes for all my writing. It's so fun. So thanks so much for watching. I'm Tredel Lambert. I hope you beautiful people have a wonderful day. See you later. Peace out. Hey.